traps. No, I'm not talking about those anime girls with dicks. I'm talking about actual physical traps that you get stuck in and then something happens. When you think about the best makers of traps in films, you'll probably think of the clever Kevin Mcallister from Home Alone or the philosophical Jigsaw Killer from the Saw franchise. But let me present you with a possible idea. What if Kevin grew up to be John Kramer? I'm Kindoe from Rello Entertainment, and welcome to What If. The origins of this theory isn't concise, but we'll be pulling most of our information from a Grantland article written by Jason Concepcion. We'll have a link to the website in the description. Why would we link these two fictional characters to be the same person? I mean, they don't even have the same name. Well, if we pay close attention to the behavioral, story, and physical similarities, there's a seemingly definite link between the two. In the first movie, Kevin has a neighbor known as Old Man Marley, who has been said to be the popular serial killer the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Kevin has some fascination with this man, as the murderer has been known to imprison and mummify his victims. This unique way of killing could have led to the way that Kevin, or John, developed his own unique way of killing victims. In the scene where Kevin eventually orders his very own plain cheese pizza, he threatens the pizza boy with using snippets of dialogue replayed from a videotape to make the teen believe he's about to get shot. Kevin would use this technique again to fend off the thieves Harry and Marv. In Home Alone 2, Kevin records a video of his Uncle Frank in the shower, of all things, later using the video to frighten the hotel workers. This audio and video mixing is used quite a lot by John Kramer, using it to introduce traps and challenges. Kevin sees the furnace in his basement as some sort of monster. This particular way of thought would become important as the serial killer Jigsaw. He may have gained some inspiration from events like that to design future traps, such as the reverse bear trap and the furnace trap that closes the door and burns the victims alive. When you take into account the similarities between Kevin's intricate and complicated home defense mechanisms and Jigsaw's carefully designed murder traps, the case for Kevin being young Jigsaw becomes quite more apparent. It's notable that most of Kevin's home defense devices are triggered by the victim, just as Jigsaw's traps are. Some of Kevin's traps, especially the ones that involve fire, are actually quite lethal for a kid's movie. Case in point, the white-hot doorknob and blowtorch trap. Fire is also used a lot by Jigsaw in his traps, such as the flammable jelly trap. In Saw 2, Jigsaw used an electrified staircase that actually cut the legs of the SWAT team officers trying to apprehend him. A similar version of the trap appears in Home Alone, where Kevin coats the basement stairs with tar and nails, causing Marv to impale his foot. Time for some science! In 2012, Dr. Ryan St. Clair of the Wells Cornell Medical College assessed the injuries of the thieves caused by Kevin's traps, and his findings were pretty surprising to say the least. For the iron to the face suffered by Marv after pulling the light bulb string, he states, "Let's estimate the distance from the first floor to the basement at 15 feet, and assume the steam iron weighs 4 pounds, and note that the iron strikes Marv squarely in the mid-face. This is a serious impact, with enough force to fracture the bones surrounding the eyes. This is also known as a blowout fracture, and can lead to serious disfigurement and debilitating double vision if not repaired properly." For the trap with the glowing hot doorknobs, he states, "If this doorknob is glowing visibly red in the dark, it has been heated to about 751 degrees Fahrenheit, and Harry gives it a nice strong 1 to 2 second grip. By comparison, 1 second of contact with 155 degree water is enough to cause 3rd-degree burns. The temperature of that doorknob is not quite hot enough to cause Harry's hand to burst into flames, but it is not that far off. Assuming Harry didn't lose the hand completely, he would almost certainly have other serious complications, including a high risk for infection and contracture, in which resulting scar tissue seriously limits the flexibility and movement of the hand, rendering it less than 100% useful." And for the trap involving the blowtorch to the scalp, he states, "Harry has an interesting reaction to having a lit blowtorch aimed directly at his scalp. Rather than remove himself from danger, he keeps the top of his skull directly in the line of fire for about 7 seconds. What was likely a simple second-degree skin burn is now a full-thickness burn, likely to cause necrosis of calvarium skull bone. That means the skin and bone tissue of Harry's skull will be so damaged and rotted that his skull bone is essentially dying and will likely require a transplant. With all that science out of the way, let's also look at some physical similarities. If you put them in a side-by-side comparison, let's use the adult version of Kevin's actor as an intermediate. Both characters have the same blonde hair, same blue eyes, same skim milk skin tone, same chin shape, and the same smirking lips. It's a pretty solid comparison. So, what if this were true? Well, for starters, how could we explain the name change? Although it's not a common thing, name changing is possible. So rather than say, why would he do it, we should be asking, why not? What if he just didn't like his name, and he can change it? Sure, it's a bit of a jump in conclusions, but it's not an improbable thing. In addition, John Kramer doesn't really say anything about his childhood, so it's not out of the loop that this happened in the past. Also, if this were true, this would mean that John had a pretty interesting childhood, which would put a great jumpstart to his creativity that would eventually be used to test other people's lives. It's a bit of a morbid transition, but it also makes us look second at Kevin. I mean, other than for comedy, most of his tricks and traps are extremely dangerous, and other times lethal. So it's not like John didn't have any experience as a child when it comes to hurting people. Thank you guys for watching this video, and as always, give this video a like, comment what you thought, and suggest a theory for us to cover next. Share this with your friends, and check out our other videos. If you're feeling generous, please consider donating to our Patreon, and of course, subscribe for more. Kindoe signing out, see ya.